From a simple idea to 12,000 paying customers in 48 hours, without any discounts and without any marketing budget. 4 years later, this scraggy little startup was acquired for $1 billion. You see, in that business, the customers were paying every month on autopilot. And while you might not get to $1 billion level using just this growth hack alone, you can use that same growth hack to generate massive amounts of leads and sales on a consistent, continuous basis. Plus, you can implement this growth hack in less than a month from now and do this on a shoestring budget. But there's a catch. While this growth hack is super simple, it's not necessarily easy to implement. That's why this video will give you detailed guidance to make sure you succeed. It's all about helping you unlock the power of video in your business. 98% of businesses today either aren't using any video at all, or they are doing it wrong. So if you do it right, you'll instantly have a leg up. And while in this example we'll talk about a direct-to-consumer business, the same principles apply in business to business. In B2B, you'll just focus on generating leads instead of trying to generate sales directly. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, you need to know the backstory that sets the stage for the success of the video we're gonna use in this example. Because you need a basic foundation in place before you start working on your video. You can't expect things to work without a decent foundation. Our story starts in 2007 when Michael Dubin was walking by a pharmacy in New York and realized that he was out of razors. At the time, buying razor blades anywhere in America was almost as painful as pulling teeth. That's because at the time, 90% of the razor market was dominated by two brands, Gillette and Schick, with Gillette controlling 70% of the entire US razor market. The razor blade business model was bait and switch. Bait men with cheap or even free but super duper fancy razor handles, and for the replaceable razor blades, charge them a shitload of money. For a set of 4 replaceable razor blades that would last you a month, you had to shell out $20. But that wasn't all. Because the blades were so expensive, the shops and the pharmacies selling those razor blades had them locked up in what was known as razor fortresses. Glass displays that required a key to unlock and to open. You couldn't just walk into a store and buy razor blades. No, first you had to find an available shop employee and then ask them to open the display, wait for them to get the key. It was a nightmare. And you had to go through this pain every month? The market was ripe for disruption. A few years later, at a Christmas party in 2010, Michael met someone who later became his business partner, Mark Levine. This guy was the father of his friend's wife, and he had 250,000 razors sitting in a warehouse. Knowing that Michael had experience with marketing and e-commerce, he asked him, "Hey Mike, can you help me sell those super sharp razors that I bought in South Korea?" And Michael said,
"Of course. Let's fucking do it."
But how do you do that without any marketing budget? Well, if you are a startup, marketing budget should not be your first concern. Your first concern should be validating. Is there actually a market for your product? Are there actually enough people willing to buy the product you offer? That's a super important question that you have to ask and answer long before you worry about any marketing budget. You should answer that question even before you decide to launch your startup. In this particular case, a variation of that question was, are there enough people who are so annoyed about the situation that they'd be willing to buy razor blades online.
Nobody knew this at the time.
Because at that time, nobody had ever done this before.
So what they did before they started worrying about any marketing budget?
They validated the business idea first.
You see, the business idea was not just randomly selling razor blades online.
The business idea here was a subscription model.
Only if you get people to subscribe to monthly shipments, only then would this business make sense.
So here's what they did to validate this business idea.
They put up a shitty little website, and after running this business for about 5 months in beta,
they managed to get about 1,000 customers.
And they learned a lot about what the customers wanted.
This is super important. So many startups get this wrong.
These guys here, they didn't just randomly launch a startup in a vacuum.
No, they verified and validated that there's a real market need.
In any startup, you must do that first.
90% of startups fail in the first year because they believe it would be extra clever to skip that step.
No, trying to skip that step is extra dumb, not clever.
But hey, if you appreciate this straight talk designed to help you avoid the biggest mistake that could kill your startup,
it would be super clever to give this video a thumbs up.
After getting the first 1,000 customers
and validating that people really want this,
Michael took the proceeds from this beta stage business
and created the first video that later launched the startup nationwide.
We're gonna go in depth on this video in a minute.
But the funny thing is,
when Michael originally talked to investors, the investors were like,
"We don't believe this is a viable business."
But when he showed them that 93-second video, the investors went,
"Oh, we get it now. Here's a check for $100,000. Go."
So the first thing that 93-second video did is getting 100K from investors.
Not bad, considering it only took them $4.5 grand to produce that video.
And when they launched that video in March 2012 on YouTube,
it generated 12,000 paying subscribers within 48 hours.
Within 3 months, that video garnered over 5 million views.
And 4 years later, the startup was acquired by Unilever
for $1 billion in cash.
As of today, that viral video has accumulated over 28 million views.
Now finally, after getting all this juicy context,
you're finally ready to dive deep into that famous video.
I felt obligated to give you all that context.
Because I want to do everything in my power to make sure you succeed.
And if you appreciate this effort, guess how much appreciation you would get?
If you share this video with your friends on Twitter, LinkedIn or Facebook.
And if you subscribe to this YouTube channel and ring the bell.
You might even get a chance to join our secret Mastermind community.
Which is designed to help you outsmart 90% of all competition in your industry.
Link in the description.
Now, in the following deep dive, I'm gonna analyze and point out to you
every single detail responsible for the wild success of the Dollar Shave Club video.
But before I start analyzing that video bit by bit, you might want to pause this video here.
Watch that short viral video first, link in the description, and then come back here. The reason it only took them $4,500 to produce that video
was because most of the work was done by Michael Dubin himself.
Work such as coming up with the idea, writing the video script, and being the person who does the talking and the acting in front of the camera. His background in marketing and his experience in improv acting made it possible to do all that work by himself.
It took him about a month to write and fine-tune the video script.
And they recorded the video in a day.
$4.5 grand went to the guy filming this.
So, depending on your current set of skills and talents, you might need a bit of extra help.
And if you decide to be the star of the video, it's gonna take you a bit of time to practice.
That's normal. Even Steve Jobs worked for weeks on every keynote.
And before the day of the keynote, he took 2 full days just to practice.
Creating a video that's gonna make a massive impact on your business, that does take a bit of work, but you can do it.
Okay, here's the first part of that famous video.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com?
Those are the first 5 seconds, and already there's so much to unpack there.
First, he introduces himself as Mike, not Michael.
That alone makes you feel like you might be talking to a buddy.
Because if you have a friend named Michael, you probably call him Mike. Michael is too formal.
So immediately, within the first second, his tone of voice and the loose tie immediately create
A warm, friendly, casual feel of your beer-drinking buddy, as opposed to a corporate stiff.
Think about it. Just 1 second, and he already made you like him.
1 second.
Hi, I'm Mike.
See that?
Within the first second, he immediately creates a connection with the viewer.
And in the next 4 seconds he says,
Founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com?
Notice, the name he uses is not Dollar Shave Club. The name he uses is DollarShaveClub.com.
Dollar Shave Club by itself is a good brand name.
And if you watched my video titled How a Wacky Startup Forced Coca-Cola onto its Knees,
you know exactly why Dollar Shave Club is a good name.
but the .com edition takes it up a notch.
By saying dollarshaveclub.com,
Instead of just Dollar Shave Club,
he makes it super easy for people to visit his website.
you don't need to search for anything. You just type in dollarshaveclub.com and boom, you're there. And he finds a clever reason to repeat that business name within the first 5 seconds.
Repetition of key points is a tried and true technique.
To cement those key points in your prospect's brain.
Another super effective technique is asking open-ended questions.
When you ask someone a question that immediately hooks them in because they can't help.
Our brains are conditioned so that when we get an open-ended question, we can't rest until we find the answer.
So, in a way, an open-ended question forces our brain to seek the answer. We can't stop. He asks a question within the first 5 seconds, and that's important because not only does this hook the viewer in,
it also makes sure that if you decide to use a video for running ads on YouTube,
people can skip ads after the first 5 seconds.
But if you have a question within the first 5 seconds,
they're not gonna want to skip. They're gonna continue watching your ad.
And speaking of ads, there's yet another important thing happening within those first 5 seconds.
If someone doesn't care about shaving, that person will skip the ad after the first 5 seconds.
And that's exactly what you want.
You want to filter out the people who are not relevant to your business.
It doesn't make sense to pay for those ads.
So 5 seconds in, and this video already made sure that
only people interested in shaving will continue watching.
within the first 5 seconds, the video already made people feel
like they're watching a friendly neighbor talking, not a corporate stiff.
a friendly next door neighbor is talking. He's talking about shaving, and you already know exactly where to find his website.
And he made you curious to learn more.
All within the first 5 seconds.
One more thing before we move to the next section of the video.
As a general rule of thumb, I don't recommend you introduce yourself with your name at the beginning of any video.
That's because before you give people a good enough reason to listen to you,
nobody cares what your name is. Nobody.
Your name is one of the most important things to you.
But to people who don't know you, to people who don't know how you could benefit their lives,
to them, your name doesn't mean anything.
They don't have any associations with your name at the beginning.
So your name is completely irrelevant to them at that point.
That's why, as a rule of thumb, 99 times out of 100, I recommend you do this.
Leave out mentioning your name completely.
Instead of saying your name, have a little thingy come in and out showing your name.
The technical name for that thingy is a lower third.
So, rule of thumb, don't say your name in a video, show it as text instead.
And only after you've given them a good reason to care about your name.
Speaking of thumbs, if you squeeze the thumbs up button on this video, it's gonna feel good.
Oh, and the video we're discussing here is also one of those rare exceptions where
the founder saying his first name at the beginning that made a lot of sense in this case.
because it gave him a good excuse to repeat his business name within the first 5 seconds.
Founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com?
That's a clever way to sneak in the business name,
which is simultaneously the domain name,
twice within the first 5 seconds.
Bravo!
Next.
Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door.
Now he immediately answers the question he asked at the beginning.
That's one way of doing it, but depending on your product or service, you might want to do the opposite.
If you watched my 4-minute video for the Mastermind community,
link in the description,
you might have noticed that I'm doing the opposite there.
In that video, I'm first asking a question you really want to know the answer to.
But then I'm saying, we'll get to that in a minute or something like that.
And then I'm taking 3 whole minutes to deliver the information I want to deliver.
And only after that I'm saying,
oh, almost forgot. The answer to the initial question. Here it is.
So, in a way, I'm taking your brain hostage there because
you can't stop watching until you get the answer. You really want to know the answer.
And after delivering the information I want to deliver, I'm basically saying,
here's your reward. The answer is your reward.
This sandwiching of information
between asking a question and delivering the answer,
that's a sneaky but super effective way to keep the viewer engaged and watching. Because when you ask a question that hooks your viewer in at the beginning, you're opening a loop, a subroutine in their brain.
And they won't be satisfied until you close that loop or subroutine.
The tension from the open loop or the unfinished subroutine
is what keeps the viewer engaged and keeps them watching.
I'm using this technique in that 4-minute Mastermind video because
in that case I need time to explain something the viewer might have never heard of before.
Whereas in the case of the Dollar Shave Club, everyone immediately knows what razors and razor blades are.
So in this case, you don't need to spend any time on explaining the basics of the product.
This is why in this case it makes perfect sense to answer the question immediately.
And the way he answers the question, that is good marketing communication.
If you watched my video titled 5 website mistakes that are killing your business, you know that you've only got 3 seconds.
When someone lands on your website, you only have 3 seconds to convince them to stay longer.
And I've given you my formula there to engineer the headline on your website
that will make people stay for more than 3 seconds.
If you haven't watched that video, link in the description.
The point is, on your website, you've only got 3 seconds to grab people's attention.
And in a YouTube video, 5 seconds maximum.
And here you see this guy delivering his headline.
The answer to the question is his headline.
He takes 1 second pause and 3 seconds to deliver the headline.
For $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door.
There it is. It takes 3 seconds to say and 2 seconds to read.
If that headline was written as text.
That headline could also be used as his elevator pitch.
If you care about shaving and you don't use electric,
that pitch is gonna make you curious in 3 seconds.
And once you get curious, you'll give him more time.
However, that headline is not perfect. And if you watched my video titled How to Be the FedEx of Your Industry, you know why it's not perfect.
Words like we, us, or our need to be eliminated from marketing communication whenever possible.
So to create a perfect headline, you need to replace we send with you get, and then adjust the rest accordingly.
People don't care about what you do, people care about what they get.
So instead of saying,
For $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door.
a more effective, more persuasive marketing communication would be, for $1 a month, you get high-quality razors delivered right to your door.
Another great option would be, for $1 a month, you get high-quality razors right in your mailbox. Next.
Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great.
Now he goes into handling objections.
But first notice how there's always movement in the video. From the first second to the last, something is always moving or zooming in, zooming out.
That helps a lot to keep people's attention.
If you just have a talking head video where you're just talking in front of the camera,
People will get bored really fast and they're gonna leave.
but if there's always something going on besides you doing the talking,
Well then, it's much more interesting to watch.
the constant movement keeps people glued to the screen.
Also notice the background. Lots of random warehouse crap on the wall. Lots of random crap on the desk.
Just like any normal CEO and founder would have in the real world. All this random crappy background communicates instantly, hey, I'm a normal guy, just like you.
And that creates an instant bond with the target audience.
People instantly feel, hey, this could be my drinking buddy. This is super important and the polar opposite to the advertising coming from the main competitor, Gillette. Gillette's advertising has always been along the lines of, oh, we have rocket scientists doing engineering for the space age, blah 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 blah. In contrast to that, this guy is down to earth.
And you instantly know that because he has a lot of random crap on his desk. The target audience is instantly bonding with him.
Because everyone is like, hey, I also have a lot of random crap on my desk.
Just the random crap in the background and his loose tie alone instantly make him likable.
And that's important because people like to buy from people they like.
Let's watch it again real quick.
Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great.
Earlier, he had already mentioned the word high quality in regards to razors, but at that point there was no emphasis on that.
So now he first emphasizes that it's really just $1.
And then he addresses the main objection of his target audience. But instead of doing that in a dry, boring, and emotionless way,
He finds a humorous way to emphasize the high quality aspect.
however, at that point the prospect is still not convinced and is not ready to buy. So he needs to make it more believable and explain how they can maintain high quality at such a low price.
Remember, the competition Gillette is charging $20 a month and his offer is $1 a month.
Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it.
Now he's talking about the facts and the features, but at the same time he maintains a humorous vibe.
And the toddler shaving a man's head is not only funny but also gives evidence that his claims are literally true.
Another funny detail is that the man is reading the famous bestseller, The Lean Startup. The warehouse atmosphere is emphasizing the cost-saving ability of his startup.
And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis.
I'm good at tennis while missing the ball. Hilarious.
And while the oversimplification 19 go to Roger Federer is not literally true,
It instantly gives credibility to his claim that his razors can be high quality and cheap at the same time. But instead of giving a dull and boring explanation, he makes his point in a humorous and entertaining manner, further driving up his likability.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio.
And polio. While most people today might not know what exactly polio is, almost everyone knows it used to be a common disease.
calling your grandfather handsome ass is yet another driver for his likability.
Prior to that, he uses exaggeration to underscore the ridiculousness of the unnecessary tech that Gillette is promoting in their razor handles.
Another point you might have missed, not only is he using exaggeration and humor, both of which are excellent tools,
he's also using another great tool, vivid visual language.
Write this down, vivid visual language.
In the video 5 website mistakes that are killing your business, before giving you my clear formula there,
I explain why you need to grab your website visitors' attention within 3 seconds.
but instead of using the word attention,
I say that you need to grab your website visitor by the eyeballs.
that instantly puts a vivid image in your brain. It communicates a complex idea in a second.
By insinuating that Gillette's razor handles have a back scratcher attached to them,
He immediately communicates how ridiculously over-engineered the competitors' products are.
vivid visual language as a tool has about the same power as the hammer of the mighty Thor.
Wield that hammer and you'll destroy your competition. That, right there, was yet another use of vivid visual language.
Did you catch it? Seriously, the Dollar Shave Club came out of nowhere and obliterated a huge chunk of Gillette's market share.
A big part of that enormous success came from their use of vivid visual language everywhere in all of their videos.
And yes, in B2B it works just as well, because in business-to-business decisions are made by people.
And if you're more persuasive in communication with those people, you win.
Vivid visual language can communicate complex ideas in a second
Make your offer irresistible.
and make it stick to your prospect's brain like chewing gum to a shoe.
Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month.
He reminds the viewer here of a common pain point.
Running out of blades and forgetting to buy new ones.
But he doesn't just remind you, he gives you a direct command.
Stop paying, stop forgetting.
He can give you a direct command here because at this point he has earned the right to do so.
He first made you feel like he's your friend or your next door neighbor,
And the relaxed command delivery now doesn't feel rude in any way.
so the viewer subconsciously accepts the command as a reasonable call to action.
Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you.
Another hilarious miss in the failed Machete Cat communicate.
Hey, these people are fun and down to earth.
Another boost to the likability points.
We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs.
That's right, another point designed to make you feel good about the purchase.
Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay.
Another hilarious delivery to boost likability. It makes people want to support them. It makes people want to spread the word.
So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you.
Another direct call to action command, immediately followed by a vivid visual benefit.
The viewer imagining themselves stacking a bunch of dollar bills they've saved.
At this point, after 1 minute and 12 seconds, the core message has been delivered.
Now he just needs to remind the viewer how to get to the website by repeating his brand name.
We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
Here's a quick checklist with actionable steps you can follow to create an effective marketing video for your business. First, what's the one thing all of these videos have in common? The audio is not relevant. All of these videos are different, and yet there's one thing all of them have in common.
It's the one thing that grabs your attention. What is it?
Even when paused and cropped, there's one thing that makes them stand out. It's contrast.
The color contrast here is a metaphor for the contrast that you need to create in your marketing message.
So the first point is create contrast. To stand out and grab people's attention, your marketing message must have a clear contrast to your main competition.
Otherwise, you will be perceived as more of the same and everyone will ignore you.
The more contrast, the better.
The messaging of DollarShaveClub.com is the polar opposite of Gillette.
This sharp separation from the competition makes it easy to build a brand because that contrast grabs people's attention. Number 2. Design video thumbnail entitled First. This sounds counterintuitive, but if you want the best results on YouTube,
you must engineer both the video title and the thumbnail before you start writing the video script.
For the video title, use the clear formula from my video titled
5 Website Mistakes That Are Killing Your Business.
And for thumbnail design, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the upcoming episode. Hook them with intrigue. Use either a super intriguing statement,
like I did in the first seconds of the video you're watching right now,
or use a captivating question to grab your viewers by the eyeballs within the first 5 seconds of your video. Raise your energy level. When you talk for a video recording, you can't talk with the same intensity as you do in normal life.
You have to raise your energy level by at least 20 to 50%.
Otherwise, you'll come across as dull and boring. So be extra hyper when recording a video.
Just put something like Thunderstruck on full blast and pretend to be a rock star for a minute.
Put yourself in a good mood. Raising your energy level alone is not enough.
If you act like an angry viper,
that's not gonna work. An easy trick to get in a good mood
is to smile from ear to ear and then look in the mirror to check if you can compete with a Cheshire Cat.
Wield Thor's hammer with vivid visual language. Can you see how in the previous points,
the vivid images of an angry viper or competing with a Cheshire Cat,
can you see how those images instantly penetrated
into the deepest depth of your mind? If you wield the hammer of the mighty Thor
by using vivid visual language in your script,
you're gonna devastate your competition.
Produce a persona.
Being the producer of your video, you can produce any persona or character you need.
In Ireland, when someone says, he is a character or she's a character, it's a compliment.
It means people don't fall asleep when talking to you.
At the very least, you should create a character that's less boring and more energetic than your normal self.
How about Cheshire Cat turned rock star turned startup founder turned Captain America, worthy of wielding the hammer of the mighty Thor?
Boom! You've got everything you need.
When recording a video, just step into that persona like you would into the suit of an astronaut.
And you're ready to go. Record in small chunks.
Don't record more than 1 or 2 sentences of your video script at a time.
Because you'll inevitably make mistakes.
When recording a small chunk at a time, you can repeat as many times as needed until you get it right.
Keep things moving.
Use subtle zoom in, zoom out or pan effects or physically move through space while talking in front of the camera.
And add secondary footage, also known as B-roll,
to emphasize your points and to keep your viewers engaged.
Use humor.
Incorporate humor into your script to engage viewers, make your content memorable, and create a positive association with your brand.
Be mindful of your target audience to make sure the humor is appropriate for them. Make it crystal clear. In the video about the 5 website mistakes that are killing your business,
I explain why out of every 500 ad agencies, 499 will screw you.
But one of the reasons I left out there is this.
The knuckleheads in the advertising industry love to confuse the hell out of people.
The idiots often turn simple messages into riddles.
You must do the opposite.
Make your marketing message dead simple and crystal clear.
Even if you're selling to university professors, you will sell more if every 10-year-old understands your marketing message.
Poke the pain points.
Remind your viewer of the problems or frustrations they battle.
Wield the vivid visual language hammer to make that happen. Nail it down.
After you've hammered home your marketing message and poked your viewers' pain points, don't let them escape.
At this point, you've earned the right to tell them exactly what to do.
Don't wimp out with vague or weak language here.
Be bold, direct, and crystal clear in guiding your viewers to take the next step. Whether it's visiting your website, clicking a button to schedule a demo, making a purchase, or subscribing to your channel. A strong call to action is a must. Now, if you're serious about growing your business to the next level, here's a video you should watch next. How a tiny e-commerce startup beat Amazon at its own game. Link in the description. Even if you're not in e-commerce, this video is gonna open your eyes to something that will lift you up miles above your competition. It's gonna give you a secret superpower ingredient you're missing. Oh yeah!